What's up, Bruce?
On 072-702-1702.
California today asking its growing cohort of citizens with electrically powered vehicles, please don't charge them for fears it could cause load shedding. The grid of California, it's an enormous state in the United States, it's got an enormous economy, but it's also a very vulnerable power grid. Like Australia had some load shedding earlier this year in the heat waves of summer, when we got warnings that it could hit the United Kingdom later on this year as they go into the deep depths of an icy cold winter in the midst of an energy crisis sparked by the invasion of Russia on Ukraine, the sanctions against Russia which have followed. Of course, California, the power grid there massively constrained due to a heat wave right now. Osman Arbee is the chief executive at Motus, and that does suggest, Osman, just to, as a layman sitting on the sidelines and watching the uncertainty and the chaos around the world and how it's shaping up and erupting, it does suggest that the internal combustion engine is probably with us a little longer than somebody like Elon Musk would like us to believe.
Good evening, Bruce, and good evening to your listeners. You're 100% correct, Bruce. EVs, firstly, are too expensive. In South Africa, Mercedes launched their vehicle over the weekend, 1.6 million. Audi has a vehicle, 1.6 million. BMW has a vehicle, 1.5 million. So the cost of these vehicles are just too high. A, B, that we don't have the infrastructure to charge these vehicles. And with our load shedding problems, the ones you're talking about in the States and Australia, we have similar problems and sometimes worse. So ICE engines are here to stay. The government's unable to give a lot of subsidy to purchasers of of electric vehicles because, remember, the government charges 15% VAT plus 25% duties on the ICE engines. So they've got 40% of taxes on these, plus the fuel taxes. So can any government give up all these revenue sources by subsidizing electric? Not in the short term. I think this is a long-term issue.
It's amazing, isn't it? And of course, the huge constraints on the production of battery minerals, the technologies, of course, and never mind, of course, electricity supply. And there's been this mad rush to create the infrastructure and to develop the technologies, which is brilliant. But, for us to be sort of celebrating the end of the internal combustion engine is perhaps just, 10 years too soon. You're looking at after-market growth. Now, in a market where you're not selling that many new vehicles, I suppose the getting not a monopoly, that wouldn't be polite, but getting the drivers of your cars to choose you to get them serviced and get them repaired is, I suppose, the ultimate target for the dealership network that you serve.
Yeah, I think we're in a very privileged situation that we import Hyundai, Kia, Renault, Mitsubishi. We have our own dealership network of 340 dealers in the country, pre-owned and new. And because of that, we have great scale. So if you buy those vehicles with the service plan and maintenance plan, you will be using our workshops for the next 3 to 5 years. And that keeps us busy and gives us some annuity income. And that gives us the opportunity to buy parts as well. Over and above that, we've got the Midas business and Alert Engine Parts, and those make up over 500 stores, including franchises. And in South Africa, we've got a car park of 12 million cars, only 2.5 million are under warranty. So 9.5 million other cars are there with ICE engines that we're going to sell parts to. And they're going to be here for a while. So that's the reason we believe that our future growth will mean we'll sell more parts and accessories to those vehicles outside warranty. We've got a good park in warranty as well. So overall, the parts market is here to stay, and the ICE engine is a catalyst for our profitability as well. So that's not going away in a hurry.
What's likely to happen to vehicle sales? I mean, the movement of vehicles around the world. First, it was manufacture of vehicles as a result of them being so heavily dependent on microchips. I was talking to the Intel chief executive in April, and he was just saying that they've had a huge problem getting microchips out of China, so they're diversifying their manufacture across different global locations to try and de-risk their supply chain. That's led to huge backlogs in the delivery of vehicles. A lot of people have been left on waiting lists for ages and ages?
I think it all depends on the type of vehicles you're looking for. So if you look at the South African market, last year we sold 464,000 vehicles. If all goes according to plan, South Africa will sell over 500,000 vehicles this year, despite the shortage. We're very fortunate for Motus that a number of our cars, like Hyundai, Kia, Renault, come from India. India seems to have a good source of their microchips. They do smaller cars. Yes, smaller cars use less chips. And they do small cars, small SUVs. And we've been very fortunate that because we're getting a good flow of cars coming from there, we grew our market share in our import side of the business from 20% to 25%. And overall in the country, we moved our market share from 20 to 22.5%. So there are specific models. Yes, there are problems with European cars do have a problem because the Russian-Ukrainian problem doesn't assist. But the cars from the east seem to be coming. The smaller cars are okay. The smaller SUVs are okay. And if it all goes well, we're predicting to do between 530 and 550,000 vehicles next year, despite the shortages. So I think overall, there are shortages, but the other brands are making up for it. And hopefully, now that Toyota is back in production in South Africa, with the factories having been closed down for May, June, July, and August, and they're back into production now, so their vehicles will be coming into our showrooms as well. So despite problems, we're still optimistic.
What about the movement of vehicles across the world? These vehicles require containers. Shipping containers are finding themselves in the wrong parts of the world because global trade is still patchy, and the just-in-time global economy model is at least in the repair shop for now, if not broken completely. What sort of inflationary impact are these transportation costs having on your ability to price competitively in this market?
We're fortunate in the sense that when cars come by ship, they come 2,500 to 3,000 cars per ship. And most of these OEMs have long-term contracts, so they don't get caught up in the current problem because they've got a 5-year contract or a 7-year contract. So the increases are there, but they're marginal. They're not big. The big increases are when we're importing parts from China. We used to pay $4,000 to $5,000 per container. We're paying up to $15,000 per container. They're starting to drop now to $12,000 per container. We're fortunate in the sense that in one container, there's a lot of goods, a lot of parts, air filters, oil filters, brake pads. So you get the economies of scale. So it's not materially outpricing product. They're increasing, I agree with that, but they're not outpricing the product and making us too expensive. But motor vehicles are slightly different in a sense that we fill ships up. So every ship is got 2,500 to 3,000 cars, and they don't need to be put into containers. They travel on their own. The ships are designed like that, and they don't need containers. You can fill the ship up, and it comes regularly. And our ships come regularly from India and from the east as well. We get about close to 8,000 cars a month coming into our country from those areas as well. So the supply is there, maybe erratic at times, but it's still coming through. So, we're benefiting from that.
My thanks to Osman Arbee this evening, the Chief Executive of Motus.